Welcome back to another episode of Boss Your Business. Today we are getting nerdy with a very special guest, Lori Crooks. She is a cybersecurity expert from Cadra. Lori shares her fascinating journey from aspiring medical professional to financial auditor to her unexpected leap to cybersecurity over 20 years ago. Throughout our conversation, Lori delves into the nitty-gritty of cybersecurity assessment, translating complex compliance standards into plain English for all of us to understand, and the importance of proper data management and employee training. We'll explore how different businesses can navigate the ever-evolving landscape of cybersecurity threats, the common pitfalls many companies face, and practical tips for protecting your organization's valuable data. Additionally, Lori opens up about the challenges of balancing a demanding career in cybersecurity with personal well-being, sharing her insights on daily routines and hobbies that helped her relax and recharge. Whether you are a small business owner or part of a larger organization, this episode is packed with actionable advice to help you strengthen your cybersecurity measures. Don't miss this engaging and informative conversation with Lori Crooks only on Boss Your Business. And we are getting nerdy again. As you know, it seems to my podcast episode always align with the things I'm doing behind the scenes. And right now there's a lot behind the scenes nerdiness going on at Ask Evie. So it is to no surprise that today Lori is joining me, and girl, special security assessments and nerdiness and all the things going on. I'm not even gonna try with my secondary English and German language to try to explain what you do. I'm gonna let you explain what you do before I ask you my favorite question. So do me a favor, tell the audience just how nerdy you are.
Well, a little bit nerdy. Always been nerdy. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it works out in this field.
We love nerds.
Good. I'm in the right place then. But yeah, we do cybersecurity assessments. We help organizations write their cybersecurity policies and procedures and help them understand all the nerdy words and the compliance standards that they don't understand and try to translate that to English for them and just help them through the processes. So yes, that is how nerdy we get here at Cadra.
So you're pretty much a lawyer in a different niche.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
translating it to
yes.
Translating the stuff we all should know and also all pay attention to into plain English. Yeah.
Yes.
I know a couple of people that have to do that in different areas. Now tell me, did little Lori think that's what she's going to do?
No, never.
Did she know she is nerdy though?
Yeah, probably. I think I was always into reading and, all that kind of, I guess you consider that nerdy now. But yeah, I was always into reading. I was into kind of the maths and the sciences, and actually thought I was going to end up in the medical field, wanted to be a doctor or physical therapist or something like that, and got to college and didn't like the courses that I had to take for that. So bounced around a little bit and finally came out with an accounting degree. And still did not end up in cybersecurity right away. So it was quite an interesting path. Worked for the state of Georgia for a little bit. I know.
Yeah, like my brain is working on the... Okay, I see the nerd. Love it, by the way. I was so not a school nerd. To medical field, to accounting. Okay, how did you make it from there to cybersecurity? I have to hear the story.
Yes, I started out in accounting and financial auditing and quickly got tired of crunching numbers. I got bored. So I was working for the state and they were actually hiring literally upstairs to do IT auditing. And I was like, well, that sounds interesting. Let me go give it a try, just because, it was something different and something new and something I've never done before. So I went and tried it, and yeah, been in IT and security ever since. That was over 20 years ago at this point in time. So very crazy.
So here's, love it. Oh, let's just try it. And my brain is going from, but you know what? It actually makes sense, because accounting is looking at data, making sense of it, and fixing stuff. But it's always the same. It's 1, 2, 3. It's always the same. There is no, in my opinion, I hate accounting to begin with. There is no challenge in it, right? You take then the data management and the data analysis and the structuring and the guidelines around all of this, and you throw that into IT and cybersecurity. Now you have the similar process with some fun in it.
Yeah, and it's always changing. Not always fun, but it's always changing. It's definitely not static, and that's why I like it. There's always something new coming out. There's always a new standard that we have to look at. And I wouldn't say exciting, but definitely more of a challenge than just crunching the numbers day in and day out. So you're absolutely correct.
It's challenges coming up where I'm assuming when different businesses have different needs. Somebody like me, yeah, I'm nerdy enough to make sure my little place of my desktop stays safe. But then a small size business has different needs when you have... Here's my nerdiness going, because the whole cybersecurity can go in all different kinds of ways. But it's like as simple as giving my team an email address that could be compromised, and now suddenly I lose my YouTube account. Or you are getting a laptop and I need to make sure you are not opening up that specific email. Is that kind of where you fit into this, between the education, between the policies for the company, but potentially also implementation?
Yes, more on the rules and regulations side. So we're the ones that tell you not to send out those emails. So we write it in policy, or we look at the type of data that you have and figure out what standard is requiring your company to do certain things. And then we tell you how they should be done. We don't do a lot of hands-on IT, so I'm not that nerdy, but enough to like translate it and be like, this is what you have to do. And then we come in after the fact and check to make sure that it's actually being done.
Oh, I would say you are quite nerdy. Because I'm like, when I look at a lot of, over the last few years, there's a lot of legislature that has been implemented where end users are again, because my brain is going into so many different directions with security and all the things, where it could be as simple as, do you actually have an unsubscribe button on the bottom of your newsletter? Where there is regulations, there is end user security regulations, where I see a lot of big companies actually not implementing those.
Correct. Yeah. And privacy is becoming such a big thing too. Like you said, the unsubscribe, also just kind of what data they're collecting from an end user standpoint, making sure that they have supposedly your approval to collect the data that you give them. So that's where you see all these pop-ups now, like, do you accept these cookies? Well, that's because they're collecting your information and you have to acknowledge whether you want to share it or not. So yes, tons of regulation from a security and privacy side that's come out over the last couple of years. And it's just, like I said, there's so many changes and it's just hard to stay on top of, but that's why we're here to help individuals and companies manage their way through it.
What have you seen being common, oh my God, I didn't know that issues? So where my brain is going right now is like, cool, either way, it's a startup that might not have dealt with it yet, or a company that was bootstrapped and now suddenly we need to pay serious attention to things. I'm assuming they probably have some situations where it's like, I don't know what I don't know. Do you have a couple of things that are commonly missed or commonly done wrong or something like that you see regularly pop up?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say some of the common ones are just around like user training, user awareness. As you mentioned earlier, making sure people aren't clicking on links. It's always good to educate your users on bad links, what phishing is. There's so many scams out there now that say, hey, I want you to go buy this gift card for me. Send me your credit card information ASAP, something like that. So educating the users is very key. It's not done a lot, but that should be number one. Also, just access control, making sure people have appropriate access to the data that they need. A lot of people just create access to everything and say, oh, they'll need it eventually and grant access to it. But you could be giving them too much access to confidential information that they might take and sell or, do something bad with that you don't want them to do. And then just protecting the data at a high level, making sure laptops are encrypted, making sure you're not sending sensitive stuff through email that might not be encrypted or protected. So just things like that are always good, even for small organizations to put in place. So it can help them protect the data and help them protect their company as well.
And you brought up some data management and access management. I'm assuming part of that is also protecting the company's asset if an employee is leaving, where it's like, you don't suddenly want them to delete everything. It's still your IP. It's still your business.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So having those onboarding and offboarding procedures, making sure that you have a copy of everything. Backups are key, making sure everything is backed up. So the employee can't delete information. They might be able to delete it locally, but again, you should have a backup of all of that. So they don't take that, seal it, block their access for putting things on USB drives. Those types of things for data management too really help. It's important. The weakest link are usually your employees. That's what statistics say. So that's why you have to educate them. That's why you have to have the proper processes in place to protect your data from, unfortunately, the internal people.
I'm sitting over here smirking for everybody that can't see me on camera. Did you hear that? Standard operating procedures, onboarding, offboarding, human being the weakest link, implementing processes. Sounds familiar, guys? We've heard that maybe a couple of times in different areas, haven't we? Now there's a lot going on. I'm like, you are writing, you're working with compliance, you do assessments. There is so much going on, and I'm assuming there might even be moments where it's like, oh my God, something just went up in flames in a client. What's our policy on here? What's happening? What am I allowed to do? What am I not allowed to do? How do you manage your everyday? Because it's like, you have quite the livelihood in your hands with this.
Yes. Yeah, it's tough some days, to be honest. I have a couple employees that work with me, so I try to delegate as much as I can. But from the tooling side, we use project management tools to make sure that everything is being tracked, at least. I try to get everything out of my own head and into the tools so I can have like my VA track things for me. She can help follow up on stuff. And then, we use a lot of internal communications too, because again, I'm always having to communicate with my team, especially if something blows up like that. I could follow up with them because we're all remote. So we use Slack on a regular basis just to keep touch and make sure that we can help the client the best to their ability. But it is a lot to balance and manage for sure.
So how do you take care of yourself in all of this? I'm like, as I told you, I love nerds, and I can see the passion in you for this. I'm curious about you because it's like I can get lost in this, and I have to proactively make sure I take care of me too and other things I'm passionate about. How is it with you in that? How do you take care of yourself? Do you have daily routines? Where is Lori in this whole process? Where's personal Lori in this whole process?
Trying to find that balance is a struggle, I'll be honest. But I do try to. We have a dog, so we try to take the dog for long walks. Just getting that fresh air is refreshing. Trying to, work out on a regular basis as well. And then the evenings, I try to spend some downtime, whether it's, reading. Again, a nerdy thing, doing a puzzle. I love puzzles, so I'll work on a puzzle for a while, just to kind of take my brain away from work for a little bit and then put it somewhere else where I don't have to think about work for a little bit. So I have to force myself sometimes to do all that. Just like you said, just to kind of get out of the day-to-day work Lori into like, who is this personal Lori?
Have you ever, you say puzzle nerd,
Yes.
have you ever done one of these 3D puzzles?
I haven't.
I was recently visiting my family in Germany, and my cousin had gifted my grandpa a globe that also lights up on the inside.
Really?
All a 3D puzzle. Now, the thing wasn't moving like it was supposed to. It was a little bit more stuck, but I knew grandpa wasn't going to move it much either way.
Right.
But yeah, I'm like, this thing looked good. It had little stripes of printed plastic for the globe piece of thing, and then you literally with little pieces of wood build this whole globe thing with the base on top and the longitude and latitude thingies all the way around and everything.
Okay, I'm gonna Google that as soon as this is over.
Oh, those are fun. There are some really good ones. I'm like, again, I was a little bit sad that it was supposed to turn on 2 axles so that you can also turn that globe. Didn't work quite as planned. Something was stuck somewhere. So it was like, if it would have been mine, I probably would have really dug into it because I wanted it to turn, but grandpa's going to use it as kind of like a nightlight sitting somewhere in the evening. But yeah, I'm like, that one was fun. That one was fun.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to look into those. Thank you for the heads up.
And yeah, so we were talking about nerding out with cybersecurity, all the things that my audience can do. And it's like, I love having nerds like you on here because it's just so diverse. I'm like, when I look around and we are finally coming out of this thinking of, oh, women just belong behind the stove. Yes, I'm completely overdoing it. It's not that bad anymore. But I love that diversity of my guests, especially having somebody come in with something like this, like you do with the cybersecurity, and really being in the midst of everything. I don't know. I'm like, you are in this area, you are in this niche, whatever you want to call it. Do you see a lot of women that are working in cybersecurity, that are working in those compliance and assessment areas? Have I just not seen it, or is that something that is really still up and coming?
It's changing a lot in recent years. I'm seeing more women in the compliance and security field, but definitely over the years it's been lacking. There's so many times I'm the only woman at the table, on the phone call. Very few. Sometimes I'll see at conferences. I was at a conference recently and I looked down the run list of who was speaking. I think there were like 30 men and no women. I'm like, come on, we're in 2024. You can have a female, do a speaking topic on cybersecurity. So it's changing, not probably as rapidly as I would like it to, but it's definitely getting there. It's definitely better than when I started 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I think with speaking, and that's an issue in many different areas on many different stages. I think it's kind of also the human side of things where we stay in the circles we know, where it's like, oh yeah, I've seen him, cool, saved. And it would be nice to see with those conferences to really just go do that extra step. It's really not that difficult. The moment you tapped into one female in your area, I guarantee you she's gonna know others. Even if it's just one or two more. And I'm seeing some in my area with the marketing side of things and video and social media. There were quite a couple of conferences that we ended up calling out publicly, because the change happened earlier where there were more women that got active in those areas. So we had a little bit more of a time frame to speak up in that. But it's like, yeah, we literally had to kick some of these event organizers in the booty and be like, don't tell me you can't find female speakers. There's more than enough out there. Just step out of your circle just for a second.
Yes.
Yes,
really, agreed.
It's really not that difficult.
No, definitely not.
For everybody that is struggling with cybersecurity, potentially growing their business, growing their team, needing to do all of these things, where can they find you? How can they connect with you? Where are you active?
Sure. So we're active on LinkedIn. So you can find my personal page, or you can find the business page, Cadra, on LinkedIn as well. Or we have a website, cadra.com. So cadra.com. And so we have a lot of useful information on there as well. Or you can, find our link on there and feel free to email me or message me as well through either LinkedIn or personal email.
And as you know, everybody listening and watching, we are making it really easy for you. Lori already gave me all of those links. It's going to be in the show descriptions for you to easily click on it wherever you prefer connecting with them. And guys, the shout out is coming. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, what are we doing? We are nearly 100 episodes in and you are not yet subscribed. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the amazing guests and nerds I am bringing you. And Lori, thank you so much for joining me today and allowing me to nerd out with you a little bit. I love it.
Well, thank you for having me on. I enjoyed talking with you. This was great.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.